Good evening. Oh my lord, we're back for Dilem-Monday. We are back better than ever. It was a nice little break we all took there for a couple weeks, but I'm glad to see everybody, at least virtually. How's everyone?
Wonderful.
Good.
Oh, pretty good.
Excellent. Hey Dad, if you want to turn your on the other far side, your volume up on your microphone just a tad.
I have no idea how to do that.
Okay, you know the side that the volume for your headphones are?
Yeah.
It's on the other side of the red thing.
That.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Now we can hear you. So yeah, so we are. So apparently, after we took our last show was the night or two after Sly Stone passed away. We went off the air, and it seems like we're now in a completely different world. It feels like it was a very long 2 weeks. But yeah, so much to go over. Where do we want to start? Where do we want to start?
We can start that 2 weeks ago. Steff, Zach, Corey, and I, we took a trip into Manhattan. We went to the Built show at B&H at the Javits Center. And it was wild. There was like, Steff, did you think it was going to be that big?
No, I really didn't. I didn't really think so, especially for and the amount of people that came out on a Tuesday. I was like, oh, there's a lot of freaking people here,
It was thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and it was a giant line. Thank God Steff got there a little bit before Corey, Zach, and I, so we could skip the line because she had already gotten online, because it got pretty deep behind us how far ranging this was. So for those who are not familiar, B&H, I guess, Corey, what is it, 3 years they said they've had this show?
Yeah, the last 3 years, B&H Photo, they've been doing this Build Expo, which is a giant trade show for everything video, a lot of things audio, photography. It's a nerd's paradise.
Yeah, so all their vendors that sell to B&H have a booth. So every camera company, every microphone company, every computer company, the Hewlett-Packard, Canon, all those companies are there. But photography, if you're a photographer, this is like Mecca of all.
Mm-hmm.
But there is also a lot of music stuff there and everything like that. And it was the complete downstairs of the Javits Center, and then there was partial of the upstairs. In all essence, it was very much like those of you who have gone to the NAMM conference, slightly smaller, but not a lot smaller. And there were a lot of people there. And we got some cool stuff. Steff, what did you take out most from that adventure?
Well, I'm, everybody knows me that I do social media, so I really enjoyed, even though it was very brief. I forgot the company that was doing the presentation, but they were talking
like
about
Lexor or something like, or
something like that. I went and actually followed the guy on Instagram. I can't remember his name though. I want to say he's like a photographer, a wedding photographer or something. But I really like that it's all three of us. Just minus Zach. Zach's not in the chat today. But
Ziggity Zach.
Ziggity Zach and Corey and me. But no, it was a lot of fun, and I really like to enjoy the guy was giving out a lot of good information about social media and what times to post and what kind of content and how you should post on like Instagram and maybe why it's different than Facebook. I took away a lot of valuable information from this guy's presentation. If only I remember his name, but I can't remember it.
I'm looking at all the companies behind you guys, the three of you. So I'm just see if I can remember the name of the company. But just for the audience, on our audience, those are all the companies that were there.
Mhm.
Every company that's on that background there, plus a few that I didn't get in. By the way, that's photo credits of me.
Yes.
But yes, there were a lot of companies there. And as Steff said, it was a middle of the week deal. Zach, Corey, and I jumped on a train in New Haven. And everything worked out, by the way. Dave, do you ever take the New Haven line in?
I did recently. Usually if I go in, I'll try to drive if I can, only because it's usually a little shorter unless you hit traffic. But you can't beat the convenience.
Well, you couldn't have lucked out as good as we did. We caught the first off-peak train. So the first one that counts as off-peak. And then going home,
We caught the last off-peak.
The last off-peak.
Oh, wow.
So, and we really didn't plan it. We were having lunch, we started walking back. And once I start going back, I get very impatient. So I go at a very fast pace.
Which is probably why my back fucking hurts. I mean, excuse me. My back.
I thought Zach was going to have a heart attack. Zach was like, dude, you're too freaking old to walk that fast.
It's
anyway.
Okay. Can I just say, it's not your speed in which you walk. It's the fact you don't pay attention to the other people who are with you, especially in a place like whether it be the Jacob Javits Center, the Anaheim Convention Center, Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or any public place. You just go, your elbows, your bull in a china shop self, and you go. You don't care if the people that are with you that you're supposed to be dealing with are anywhere in the vicinity of you. No. We're beyond that. No, you just go off. Go off, King. Go off.
I played football a long time. You follow your lead blocker. I'm blocking you through. Just follow me. I'll get you. Did I get you through the city perfectly? Did I?
Yes. No one is saying otherwise. Though you almost didn't, had I not been able to pay attention to you and not know you well enough, or else Zach would still be having his Macaulay Culkin moment and being lost in Manhattan. Maybe he would have met the freaking president too, who would have told him to go to the left.
But it did work out. Everything worked out. We caught the train, and we had seats all through, all the way there, all the way back. So it was perfect. We had a nice lunch at some Irish pub. It was good. Everything worked beautifully. And then what was the rest of that week? Oh, I think we had a gig in Rhode Island. We played at a country club. And then Corey and I flew to Miami for a few days. We had
we'll definitely get into that a little bit tonight.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I highly recommend the W Hotel in Miami, South Beach, right on the beach.
For an affordable $700 a night.
And that's
Wow.
off peak. It's $7.99 to be exact.
Oh,
Hey, corporate paid. I don't care.
That's all
We had
that
a
matters.
good year.
Complaints.
When you have a good year, you get treated well.
The perks of it.
Yes. The beach was very nice. And the beauty was the weather in Miami was cooler than the weather up here.
Up here.
Oh, God.
Was,
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was in like the low 80s with the breeze off the beach.
You lucked out.
Plus,
The timing.
I don't think Corey and I went a minute without a drink in our hand, even in the meeting.
like literally, the hotel, we checked in. They were like, do you want a gin and tonic? We have it. It's a signature check-in drink. I'm like, what the hell is a check-in drink?
Yeah,
That's
really.
awesome.
There was a drink in my hand, literally from the moment I checked in.
You're paying that much for a hotel. I hope they'll start the royal treatment right away.
Look, I can't. They put us in this. He had his own room. I had my own room. They gave us magnificent suites looking out at the beach. They had this chaise lounge that was in that room. Oh my God. I could have just stayed in that for a month and not moved. It was so nice.
The chaise lounge.
The chaise lounge. Yes, it was cool.
Yeah.
But we had a dose of reality when we came home. So we got in Friday morning at about, by the time we got home, it was about 1 a.m. Over the weekend, we were back in Rhode Island and we stayed in Newport. And you want to talk about a difference in hotel. So for those of you who don't know Newport, in the summertime,
when the weather is fine.
Yeah, even Howard Johnson's is $300 a night during the peak season on a weekend. So we stayed because of budget of, the band, we try to make the most money for each player. We stayed at Motel 6 in Newport.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Oh,
Boy.
I had never stayed in a Motel 6. Now you guys know
and you probably never will again.
I can assure you I will not stay in another Motel 6.
I don't complain about hotels, but even I was like, what the hell is this?
By the way,
what the fresh hell is this?
Did I mention that Lisa Joyce Riemann was also with us?
Oh my God, no.
and so in any case, my wife is the most wonderful, good person, but she gets skeeved out pretty easily by. She was not meant to be a poor woman. Let's go there. That was not going to be her thing. So Walmart is next door. Literally, there's a shopping center. So that the Riemanns went to Walmart and bought our own sheets, our own pillows.
You sure the hotel wasn't in the Walmart?
It would have been nicer. The blue, whatever special would have been great.
Yeah,
so
I went from that.
Oh, please tell me you have a picture of the hotel room you were in Newport.
Oh no! I wanted to forget that I was there. I think there are minimum security prison cells that are, of a higher quality and caliber. At least in those you can get some peace and quiet in the hole.
But to the
walls were paper thin. There were dogs. There was clearly a couple that was shitting next to me. It was on the other side of the wall, and I'm like,
they still allowed smoking in their rooms.
Oh.
But
how would you love to find out that you were the result?
Like 7 dogs in the room in
Oh,
that brown
frick.
car that was next to us, the hound dogs, and oh my God. We put our own sheets on. We bought nice pillows.
I didn't even just do the bottom sheet, or like the top, just put the top sheet down and just like went under the blanket. No, I changed the sheets top to bottom, changed the pillowcases. That was not happening.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a difference between a 5-star hotel and a 1-star hotel. Don't go with the premise that I'm just sleeping there, because no.
Like, again, I'm scared that there were literally people that were procreating, that there could be, if you found out that you were the result of procreation in this shithole, this hole,
do you feel that their life would be poisoned somehow?
Yeah, like, how do you live with that? How do you?
Has anybody else on this glorious panel ever stayed in a Motel 6?
No.
I don't think I have. I've stayed in rooms that may as well have been Motel 6. Same
I've
caliber.
stayed in a Red Roof Inn, I believe it was called. Yeah, that one kind of
I've done a Red Roof Inn one time. I can tell you where that one was. In New London. You know where the Guitar Center is in New London? Right off 95.
Okay.
There is a Red Roof Inn there.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you how long ago it was, though. Dave, do you remember bag phones?
Doesn't sound familiar.
So before there was like flip cell phones and the Zach Morris cell phone, there was a bag phone, so it looked almost like a briefcase, and you'd open up the briefcase and the phone would be in there.
I think I can picture that. I don't think I ever knew that's what they were called. Okay.
And it might have been called something better than bag phone, but to me it
probably
was
had
in a
several
bag
names.
and it was a phone there. So Lisa and I, we stayed. We had to do, I think, class ring orders the next day at Fitch High School in Groton and then Ella Grosse. So we had some stuff, and there was a reason we stayed over there. But the bag phone evidently was on the same frequency as the fire alarms in the hotel.
No.
And we shot off all the fire alarms in the entire hotel from the stupid phone.
Wait, this was a Red Roof Inn?
Red Roof Inn.
Yeah, the fire alarm
London.
went on for mine too overnight.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
Maybe that's why they call it the Red Roof Inn.
I have no idea, but they got to do something with their fire alarms or whatever the hell alarm, because that thing went on for hours, and I'm like, you freaking kidding me, right?
So Dad, you remind, or wait, finish the story and then remind me about frequencies.
Well,
because I've got a story
okay.
with that.
So yeah, that was the one time we stayed at a Red Roof Inn. And I'm trying, we usually stay in pretty nice hotels. Steff, you've been on the road with us. We usually stay at nice places.
Yes.
But every once in a while, the budget just doesn't allow, or we're just in a place that there's not a lot of great hotels like in Utica, New York. And we played up there recently at the Best West. We stayed at the Best Western. Now, my daughter gave me a hard time. I think I told everybody on the show because we stayed at a regular Best Western. And she's like, you don't stay at anything that doesn't say Best Western Plus or Premium. And Alicia was correct. Poor Jimmy, he got pink eye from that hotel.
Oh my God.
We should maybe not mention when people, HIPAA things that would usually be considered HIPAA by a doctor, maybe not saying it out loud on a show.
Why? It would just
that sounds embarrassing.
Best Western should have cleaned their hotel better.
I would have gone with a member of our touring party perhaps had something go down. You had that creepy teacher that you always like to tell about that. I don't know. Someone in this room, I'm not going to say names, but someone in this room's sister came to me because
she was knocked up.
She accidentally got pregnant. I'm not naming who, but she's in my second period class and sits in the front.
I'm gonna be having any periods now.
Bravo.
In my late period class, but with radio frequencies and phones, is anyone familiar with the Captain Crunch whistle?
No.
So
I know where we're going with this.
So
not really.
in 1971, or from the middle of the 60s until 1971, there would be a reoccurring prize at the bottom of the Captain Crunch boxes, which was like a fake bosun's whistle, just like a theoretical captain might have. Now,
I had one.
You did you?
Yeah, I ate Captain Crunch, and you got the whistle.
Captain Crunch is great.
I love Captain Crunch.
So the frequency that it emitted was a 2600 hertz frequency, which was enough to break through or to kind of disable AT&T payphones to be able to use them without having to pay.
Had I only known.
So if you blew the whistle next to the phone, it vibrated at such a frequency. Okay, the frequency is significant because it was used by AT&T, a phone network, to indicate an available trunk line for routing new calls. By replicating this tone from the whistle, individuals could trick the phone system into granting them a free long-distance call, according to the phone freaking history resource.
Wow.
So that was you didn't even need the card. So you guys don't even remember, but there used to be you'd get calling cards that would give you a number, and you could just, when you used the payphones.
Yeah, I had a few of those.
So all I needed was a damn whistle. I could have gotten it right there, and it would have worked. But
yeah,
let me finish our week, and then we can go on to the
everyone thing. Else. I know, James, you've got some adventures to tell as well.
We had 2 gigs on Saturday. The first one was great. It was at the brewery, the Whaler Brewing. Really neat place. Oh, there's the Captain Crunch whistle. We had a great time there. It did cool, but then we went to a private function after that.
We're not going to go into too many details about this,
Right?
as it was a private function.
But it
No more
was
private
such a
function for survivors.
magnificent piece of property. He had hundreds of acres.
To quote Matt Damon, they had a zoo.
They had a zoo in the back.
They had an actual zoo.
They had a zoo, and they had golf carts and everything to get around. It wasn't even golf
ATV
carts, they were like
ATV
game
trails.
buggies.
Yeah, they were like
Yeah.
closer to like if an ATV was a golf cart was an ATV, it was having a moment. It identified as an ATV, or it identified as a. But yeah,
It was a blast. Great food, but even better than everything else. So at the end of the night, when people say, "Hey, we're gonna have a fireworks show," yeah, you expect it's like 10
some
minutes,
badass.
5
You're expecting some badassery that you smuggled in from New Hampshire or something
or
like
North
that.
Carolina or something.
Yeah.
This went on for over a half an hour. The Grucci's could not have done better at Macy's. This was outrageous. It was just bombs bursting. I mean, Tehran wasn't this bad. It was
Jesus
just boom,
Christ,
boom,
you
boom,
can't
boom.
say that.
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God,
So-
you can't say that.
But it was wild.
Where the hell's my cowbell?
These were gigantic blasts. And I'm sitting there with Lisa. It's like, it's got to be over. And then it would just start again. Best party ever. So much fun. Loved it. So we had a really cool 2 weeks, to say the least. It was a lot of fun.
Like, no, it definitely it was a blast. I'm physically, mentally, and in every other sense exhausted beyond all recognition. Oh my.
Yeah, by the way, Corey's back had hurt for 2 weeks.
It's still hurting. I've been going to the chiropractor every other day.
Wow.
Despite the 2 gigs and the flying and the everything else that was involved in that.
And we did a lot of walking on South Beach too. We went to like Little Cubano. We went to Lincoln Ave. We had a blast. But Corey, see, in Miami, he just kept drinking. Yeah, that's the backyard fireworks. That's not 4th of July. Like Macy's. This is crazy.
But yeah, because that
And
video
that went on
was
for a half an hour. Like it was actually 35 minutes that we were standing there watching that. It was outrageous. It was so much fun. But yeah, Corey does get a badge of courage, a Purple Heart, whatever you want to give him. His mother said, I don't know anybody else who might have gone through. He was in a lot of pain. Like he managed those 2 shows pretty well. So I will, you all know that I will bust on Corey more than anybody. But Dave looked like he's having some back pain right now, just hearing about it.
It's just being my age. I'm all right.
All right.
For the moment, anyway.
Hey, Steff, I saw that you're going to be playing at the Jones Beach, the
band shell. Yeah. We'll be playing there on Saturday, July 5th. It's going to be an 8:00 show. I think it's going to be an hour and a half. And it's with my Simply Stapleton, Chris Stapleton tribute.
I am so jealous. I have always wanted to have the band play there. So I saw that. I was like, I might have to make a trip to New York on this one.
Why do we have to be jealous and not just be proud for our friends?
Well, I am very proud and happy. I said I was going to think about maybe driving to Long Island to go watch. I saw it. I thought it was exciting. I wanted her to brag about it. It's very cool.
It is
Always
very
wanted
cool.
to do that one.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So James, what's the excitement that you got going on?
Let's see. When you guys were at the Javits Center, I was in Chicago. Still beautiful food there. And New York pizza is still better than Chicago. But
yeah.
On the same day that you guys wanted or you thought about doing the show, I was actually driving back from Ohio back to West Hartford, and that was one of the longest drives I've ever experienced in a while. So, because
I've done that drive.
Yeah.
I have done that drive.
It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's horrible. Well, my fiance's sister was moving to Massachusetts, so she was going to stay at us for the day before she drove with the trailer. By the way, which was fun trying to back in, which I've never ever done before. That was just miserable.
And you're never ever gonna do again.
No, at that point, I'm just like, I'm gonna just hire movers anytime I need to move, because a trailer is just a pain in the ass, because it's so much physics. Like anytime I want to move the trailer to the right, I'm like, okay, now you got to turn the wheel to the left.
Yeah.
Or go the other way around.
Yeah.
It was just a nightmare doing that. But there was that one. And then on Friday, my best friend's is trying to be a boxer, and his trainer went pro. So we went to a boxing match down in Philly, which was a lot of fun, 3.5-hour drive. We didn't stay at a hotel because we knew we were thought about driving back. So the fight ended, and he wanted to go see a movie in 4D, which is the movies with like the shaking chairs and all that stuff. So we saw a 10:55 movie right near the King of Prussia Mall.
We're gonna be there.
Great place.
We're playing there on September 27th.
Yes, there you go. Little did I know, the movie we saw, which was F1, very good movie. It was 2.5 hours long.
Oh my God.
So 10:55 plus the previews, sponsors. Movie didn't start until 11:30. Ended at like maybe 2:00. Now I know you guys. 2:00 is your cutoff for driving.
You know that is cutoff time.
That's iconic that you know that.
We didn't do that. We drove all the way from King of Prussia back to West Hartford, and we came back at like 6:00 in the morning. My first ever all-nighter.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's not safe. That's unhealthy and not safe. Unless you fell asleep through the whole movie and you got 2.5 hours of sleep that way.
No, a 9:00 Red Bull kind of helped me out a little bit. So.
No smelling salts?
No smelling salts. That was wild. Honestly, I've never done that before, because 10:00 is usually my bedtime. So driving at 2:00, by the way, pitch black in Pennsylvania, rainy, no idea where I'm going. I had fun, but that part was not fun.
I got to be honest. I get really tired at 2:00. That's why I have that hard kind of cut off. And from 2 to 3, I think that's the most dangerous time in the world to drive, because everybody else is kind of doing the, with the bobbing of the head and the best people are not out at that time. Brother Dave drives at that time, but
Yes, he does.
But that's his normal life.
There was no head bobbing. That was awesome.
Normal being a relative term here.
But yeah, no, it was,
I got a laugh from Steff, and that's what counts.
But I would have told you, stay at the Hampton Inn right across from where the movie theater is, right by King of Prussia over there. There's a Hampton Inn.
Should have, could have, didn't do that.
Wow. Yeah, no, you're a better man than me, but you're a lot younger than me. It's if someone else was driving, we could stay out later, but I am not driving anymore. Once we get to 2:00, I'm done. We'll get a hotel. I don't care how much it costs. We'll lose money. It's fine.
Nah, it was just weird seeing the sunrise, and yet I'm still up and still driving. I'm like, how is this possible?
I have done 17 straight hours of driving once. Indianapolis to Syracuse to Albany to Avon. I dropped 2 people off, one guy in Syracuse, one guy in Albany, and then I came home. It was 17 straight hours I drove. You can ask Lisa this. I don't know what happened, but I went blind when I got into the house. I couldn't see. I had to go to sleep for like 2 or 3 hours before I got my vision back. That is not a healthy thing to do.
No.
Don't do it. Do not do it. Terrible decision.
My God.
But yeah, no, I really lost my vision. It took that much out of me. Dave, have you ever done one of those, on like a comedy tour thing, like where you just drove and city to city?
Never the numbers like you're talking about. If I do something remote, it's usually like I go there and then I come back. I've not done a multi-tour thing. Maybe I might have been able to pull that off earlier on. It's not like a goal at this time. Like I said, I'll go somewhere, but then I'm either coming home or I have to make arrangements along the way or do like tour, like stops. I'm not up to, I've never been in a car more than, I think 10 was the most, and I wasn't driving most of that. But I cannot just sit that long. I never was able to do that. And that's not an ambition at this point in my life either.
Yeah, no, that it's a bad decision. James, you made a bad decision, but I'm glad you're home and you're okay. And everything's good.
I came home and then had a birthday party to go to on that Saturday. So I'm like, oh God, I'm going to be so grumpy. Luckily, my fiance was kind enough to do the driving. So I fell asleep on the car ride, 2-hour car ride. And then when we went to her house, I slept for like 3 more hours. And then I'm like, I don't know how I got through that day at all. Don't know.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Was this like a child's birthday party or like
It was a child's birthday party.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's okay. There was jungle juice, so it helped me out.
Yeah.
Jungle juice. Yes.
What the fuck kind of children's party is this?
It's a good one. I went to a kid's birthday party 3 years ago. It was in a pavilion that had a little bar behind it, and they made the strongest. It was Malibu and pineapple juice. I'm like, oh my God, if I have 3 of these, I could get through this party with no problem.
Oh yeah, I don't have kids, but I know I've gone to them, like my friends' kids, and yeah, you need the adult section to endure what's going on.
Yeah. Ironically, the adult table as opposed to the kids table.
Well, if there's a kids' table, it stands to reason that there's one for adults somewhere.
Well, the adult table will forever be the best table.
Did you see Fran's tips? Loaf of bread, jar of peanut butter, couple gallons of water, chocolate, drive west.
The last one I feel like is really going to be debatable depending on your destination and where you're starting from. But
I would say the couple gallons of water, it could be a questionable decision because it can be.
Then you got to pee.
5 minutes.
That's.
What about a jar of water and a couple of gallons of peanut butter?
That sounds more friendly that way.
My method usually is I have a few things of iced tea, on the side. Then I have maybe some chocolate bars in the middle section, and then I have gum. I am a gumaholic. Like most of the guys in the band are whatever-aholics.
I have seen ex-smokers chew less gum than this man.
I chew a lot of gum. I like gum. And it's crazy. I've never had a cavity in my mouth. Never once. No cavities.
I didn't even look down. I was already thinking of Corey.
I knew that was going to happen.
Dick. No, but I like, my mother used to chew a lot of gum too. So must be a Riemann Helfonte thing. But it helps you stay awake. I will also do the trick where you go outside the car for a few minutes, take a walk, you go and pull on the side, and I'll pour a bottle of water over my head to stay awake.
I don't know if that's a trick or not, or if it's just, just survival.
Well, yeah, when you're at that point where you're dozing and you're still 45 minutes to an hour away from home.
Yeah.
Yep.
The shock element helps probably.
Yeah.
45 minutes is such a tease of a time, by the way. Because it's not short, it's not long, it's inconvenient.
It felt like those 45 minutes driving back on 84, it felt like a 3-hour ride. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get the fuck home. This is taking too long.
Yeah, every 15 minutes feels like an hour.
Hotel. And 45 minutes, you're not giving in to the hotel.
No, you're just.
If it's still 2 hours and you're that tired, you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to suck it up. Here's my credit card. I don't care. Whatever it costs, I'm in the hotel. But with only 45 minutes left, you're like, nah, I'm going to suck it up. I might die, but I'm going to suck this up.
Yeah. Well, that was like, I was driving back from Guilford, Connecticut when you guys did that balloon fest. And I got stuck on 95 coming back home to go to Long Island. And I got stuck there for about 2 hours in traffic, one for a car accident, and then further down the road for construction. And I thought, oh boy, I thought I wasn't going to make it home. I was so tired. Yeah.
The only time I ever experienced that, it was not from comedy. It was I briefly had to work overnight when I was younger. And it took my body a long time to get used to that. There were a couple of mornings I didn't know if I was going to get home to bed safely. so I can relate to that. That was a while ago, but
No, it's scary when you're driving that late and you're that tired.
Yeah,
Um,
really is.
and you know, and when you do these gigs, you know, the setup is awful, right? Depending on how much stuff we have, you know, it could be a 2-hour setup. You drove 3 hours to get to the place. It's a 2-hour setup. You're drenched because you're moving everything out, even whether it's raining or not. And when it's raining, it's even more horrible. Then it's a 3-hour gig. Then it's another hour and 15 minutes to clean up. Then you have the other 3 hours to go home. You're tired.
Mhm.
And the guys in the band who might be in the car with you, they're exhausted too because they just played a 3-hour gig. So they're not talking to you on the way home. You're driving by yourself. And you're dead tired. And as I've gotten older, I am not as good as I used to be. There's just no way. And I'm like, wake the fuck up. You got to keep me awake. Talk to me, please. So I appreciate when Lisa is there more than not just because, you know, she's Lisa, but because she'll actually talk to me sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's good.
I mean, sleeping next to you for all the years that she has, and being kept awake by your snoring, I think she's good at staying awake being with you.
Out of your mind. Anyway, so part of the show we said we were going to talk about people that made the Hall of Fame but didn't actually get to go in the Hall of Fame that had an untimely passing.
And I think the one that obviously as the baseball fans that many of us in this crew are, this is a rough one, and in literally a month. Let me see. I have the picture.
Dave Parker.
Yes, I have
Cobra. Dave Parker.
Yeah, I know. I can't stand you.
But you want to know the irony of Dave Parker's disease? He had Parkinson's that he passed away from.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, that's a near and dear one to my heart. You know, my mom passed away from Parkinson's, and it's really one of the meanest diseases because I guess on the good side, you last a long time. You have the disease for many, many, many years, but it's meaner than any other disease because it just takes a little bit away from you, piece by piece by piece, until it takes everything from you. And
trapped in your own body.
Yeah, because your mind kind of still works, at least until the very end, and then that even goes. Dave Parker, at his prime, was the best player in baseball. Probably for a 3, maybe 4 or 5 year period. He had a cannon for an arm. You know, he's the guy who basically replaced Roberto Clemente in the outfield. He could hit with power. He could hit for an average. He was part of the We Are Family team with Willie Stargell.
9 team, yeah.
It was a great. He was a great player. I know he had some problems with some of the drugs at some point, and his career kind of took a little dive.
That whole team.
Well, that was an era. I think the 70s teams got into the cocaine thing, and
and the Pirates in particular, though, like,
yeah,
I mean, possibly the most famous, you know, yeah, no, absolutely, the most notorious no-hitter that's ever been.
Corey's talking about Doc Ellis.
Yeah, insane.
He was on LSD. The man is high on LSD. He is still, drunk and on LSD from the night prior, and he
didn't remember the entire game that he pitched. He had no clue.
No.
But yeah, no, that Pirate team had Willie Stargell. I think Rennie Stennett was at second base. Tim Foley was at short. Bill Madlack played third base on the championship. Richie Hebner had been there for years. Manny Sanguillen and Ed Ott were the catchers. Dave Parker, Omar Moreno, and Al Oliver were the team. John Candelario was the star pitcher, and the best relief pitcher on the team was a guy named Kent Tekulve. And I think Bert Blyleven was also on that team. and that is where Corey is the geek on music. I might just be a little bit of a geek on the baseball lineups, especially in the 70s. I'll probably get every single team's lineup. I was that baseball card kid who had every single baseball card. I memorized their height, their weight, their stats. I could tell you who they were traded for. It was ridiculous. What a waste of time. My father would be like, is that going to make you any money? No, but I enjoy it. If it doesn't make you money, why are you doing it?
God, your dad would, your father would have hated the idea of trivia night. You mean there's actually a way for you?
For all his bullshit, he was great at trivia.
Oh, the random bullshit that he would.
IQ. Yeah, I don't know where it went. It definitely went way low. Yeah, my dad was a Mensa member. So, Fran, if you're watching, you knew my dad, and I know Fran is in Mensa. My dad was a Mensa member. He was very, very smart. He was one of those crazy people. If you gave him like 7 or 8 digits going one way.
Oh, there was more to that?
Well, if you had like, 855,000 times 275,000 times 366,000, blah, 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 blah. He would get you the answer in milliseconds. He could beat the calculator, and you would try to check it with the calculator. You're like, that's just ridiculous. How does someone do that? It's like your sister, and she'll give you the 100th derivative of pi. It just retarded. But yeah, obviously it skipped a generation completely. As my sister and I cannot do any of that. Nor can his grandson. Alicia, maybe. If you can remember the 70s, you weren't there. I was there. I was just younger than you.
But yeah, no. I that it's wild what people were able to accomplish. Insane. It's insane. Then again, the one probably though that if anyone was able to tell from the theming of tonight's poster and the little images and little asides I put into it, in the other person that we lost, probably the greatest genius rock and roll maybe ever had, Brian Wilson, passed away. I was in my car. I got the notification to my phone. It came up on my texts, and I pulled over to the side of the road. I was, a man who was so as hurt as he was. He was so this is a guy who, was so mentally ill, so hurt, so damaged, yet he made such music that made the rest of us not feel hurt. And he put every ounce of his existence into every single note, no matter how tortured he was. And the music he gave us, it changed everything. And I know he was old, he was hurt, he was sad. He didn't know what was going on anymore, there's some
Parkinson's also, or just dementia?
I think he just had, to my knowledge,
like he had Parkinson's a little bit.
It could have been. Again, Parkinson's gets misdiagnosed as a million different things often, and to a degree that could have been it. But he was, and maybe there's some mercy, as he would have said, love and mercy to, him leaving the worldly plane. But it still hurts.
It still hurts. As someone who, I'm in the music industry and I work with my son. I don't understand that their family. I don't understand a dad like he had, how you could steal from your kids and be so jealous of your son. I mean, he sold their rights to piss him off. For like $700,000. Can you imagine what the Beach Boys their piece of work would be now? What do you, $800 million, $600 million? This idiot sold it for $700,000 because he was mad that his son was more talented than him. That's just insane to me.
That's pity right there.
He's just he Murray Wilson was, and I don't want this to come down that I'm defending Joe Jackson by any means of the imagination, because he was also an abusive and horrible dude to a degree. But Joe Jackson worked his kids and tortured his kids to a degree because he actually believed in their genius. He saw something in them, and he said, I can't be this, but they could be better than me. And again, it's still twisted and it's still wrong. But
But he was at least selfless.
Exactly. There was, and maybe not selfless, but there was the right intention there. Murray Wilson was just an evil, horrible, horrible man. He was a miserable cusp, and he led to the brain death of his son Brian. He led to the eventual tortured soul that became his son Dennis, and his poor son Carl had to deal with the two of them. When your little brother has to take care of your two older brothers and keep peace, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, no, that's one of those things where he took the money and he treated them terribly, and couldn't get over that they were better than him. I'm like, your goal as a parent is that your kids are better than you in anything and everything. Like I that's just something I would never take a dime. I mean, it would embarrass me to do something like that. It's just I don't get it. I remember watching that movie and I felt so sad for him. I felt
you watched both. I was gonna say you saw both movies. You saw the one with the recent one with Paul Dano,
yeah,
and the old one, right?
I've seen
the Beach
both,
Boys, a family.
Yeah, and I look, I'm not as big a Beach Boy fan as Mike Bondra is a gigantic.
He was buddies with Dennis.
Yeah, so he loved those guys, but I was a fan, and you never like to see a tortured soul. And I feel a lot of musicians who are very, very smart and geniuses, I feel that they are tortured because they're looking for that perfect something, and they're always out there, and they just never feel that they find it. They never settle, which is, I guess, why they're so good and a genius. But I do feel sorry for people when they can't be happy with their own accomplishments.
Yeah, it's why so many of them turn to alternate forms of relief. It's sad, and a lot of people don't. So many people almost joke like it's like what you're supposed to do. Like people make it like it's almost like funny. Like, oh yeah, they're musicians and they're drunk, and it's like, God, if you understood, if you understood the tedious nature of some of this, if you had even an ounce of it, for God's sake, I can't say even that I know even a touch of what some of these guys had to deal with, but even I'm like, this is insane. Yeah, the amount of liquor when my back was hurting that I drank just to try to get through it. I felt stupid. I felt like why this is what I got to do just to get through. But you know what? I have four other guys that I need to make sure that they get paid that night. I've got to go out there and I've got to find anything in that moment that's going to do it. And again, thank God for me. You know what? It was a little bit of tequila, but I don't get it, but I do get how these guys turn. I was on morphine when I was in the hospital. I can get and can't understand how someone could get hooked to something like that.
I was gonna say, Dave, like guys like Richard Pryor, Robin Williams, on the comedy side that have that kind of genius. Also, that I feel that they're always looking for the perfect bit, right?
Artie Lang.
Don't put Artie Lang in the same bit as Richard Pryor and Robin Williams.
No, but like in pain, tortured and in pain to the point that you just destroy yourself.
Well, isn't that because he had to listen to his own humor that's so bad?
Artie Lang had to take so much cocaine to the point that his nose literally
fell off. Yeah.
Wow.
Horrible.
Well, Stevie Nicks she did so much coke that she had a hole.
Yep.
In her nose.
It wasn't just a deviated septum, though.
Oh, that's
well, she had a hole forming in her nose, and they were like, "Look, you're gonna die. And she was like, yeah, she turned that shit around. I mean, but it took so many years, you know. She was addicted to the stuff, went to rehab. Oy.
Didn't Richard Pryor run down Hollywood Boulevard naked on fire? Wasn't that
Because he
the,
freebased cocaine.
right? That was part of his special that time. He goes,
You want to know? Yeah. Oh no! In his comeback special, hysterical that he was able
which
to.
was one of the greatest specials of all time. I saw it in the movie theater. It was freaking amazing. Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor were just so funny. I mean, it's a shame that Eddie decided not to be funny anymore. You know, he wanted to be an actor. But
the other guy that came to mind with this conversation, Greg Giraldo. That one, when Greg Giraldo, and I was younger too, but that was one of the first comedians that I remember, and because I was just understanding the concept of like Comedy Central.
And that guy was in every movie as like a second or third actor. Like that, Greg Giraldo, if he's still in movies that haven't come out yet, 20 years after his death.
You know, Greg Giraldo died so Jeff Ross could walk.
All right, you're not funny enough to make that joke. Nikki Glaser can make that joke, not you.
But like he was the meanest. Like he was at like Rickles when he did those roasts. He was at like a Rickles level. Like it was devastating.
Don't go at my boy Don Rickles is the fun. All right, there's two comedians who are on a level beyond all. Besides Dave, we have Richard. We have Rodney Dangerfield, and we have Don Rickles. There was never a greater. If you were a TV host, you wanted those two guys to be on your show. If you're Johnny Carson, when you could get Don Rickles or Rodney on, your show was just going to be phenomenal.
You're not going to put You're not putting George Carlin in here?
No, I'm. George Carlin actually made you think. He was a thinking.
Oh,
man.
God forbid.
Yeah, well, Rodney made me laugh. Rickles made me laugh because he was just so mean. It was hysterically funny.
Do you want to know? You want to know what else George Carlin said? Sucker, mother, and
wow, that was useless. But George Carlin, I would imagine, Dave, you would have been. You're a big fan of George.
I have not seen too much of his, but I've liked what I've seen. I agree that he was more of like it was humorous, but it did make you think, and I kind of like that there was both. But that guys like your two, Rodney and
Rickles,
it was like visceral, it was just gut punch stuff that just
yeah,
quick and effective, and there was no pause, there was no interruption, it just flowed. It was just I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Johnny didn't have to work hard on those. Johnny could just sit there and just let him go. He'd feed him maybe one line, just and God forbid you got in the way of Rickles' like real act. I remember this is when Rickles was older already, and he's doing his bit, and he says to Julia Roberts, "Oh, look, there's Julia Roberts, my neighbor," and
you've never called me once,
right? And she's like, she lives 2 blocks away, and she's like, I actually live closer. He's like, don't even, honey, you don't talk. It's my bit.
You don't have lines. You stop.
Yeah. Shush.
Can I show you all this picture here real quick? This is a really cool photo.
Lenny.
So yep, this is Lenny Bruce getting arrested in New York City for using profanity in a club. Behind him, the young man is a 16-year-old George Carlin. Also getting arrested because he was like, they were gonna let him out of the club because he was a kid. They're like, come on, just go. And he's like, nah. Wait, you're arresting Lenny Bruce? Yeah. You, I'm gonna go too.
So,
which is great that someone had
how many in this group watched the marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Mrs. Maisel.
That's a good one.
Dave, how do you not watch the marvelous Mrs. Maisel? I know I've said this to you before.
I watched the pilot. It was good. I didn't have any issue with it. I just never continued.
Oh my God. It was so good.
I know.
and because Lenny Bruce continually shows up on the show, obviously not the real Lenny Bruce.
Right.
By the way, I never realized this when I was watching The Marvelous Miss Maisel. Do you know who her mother is? What other show she was in?
The only other actress I know that's on that, I don't think it's the mother though. I think it's like the woman that became her agent is the voice actress. She was on Mad TV. She's on Family Guy.
Yes.
I don't remember who played the mother.
How many of you watched 2.5 Men?
Sparingly. I was never like a regular viewer of that.
Wait, what? You're making me hit? No.
That was her?
Judith, Alan's wife, is Mrs. Maisel's mom.
Wow.
That hot chick in the brown bikini bathing suit.
Was a repressed woman of the 60s.
All of a sudden, I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh my God, that is her. Because I saw her on a show and they started talking about them. I was like, oh, that is her. Holy cow. And obviously, what's his name? Monk was the dad.
Holy cow.
But
That's
that
your language,
was
Corey.
Yeah. That was just a
holy.
I didn't want that show to end. I love that show.
Maybe we'll get blessed in 15 years. They'll do a revival. It's 1985 by then, and you know.
It'll be on Tubi.
Wouldn't be surprised if they did that. Especially they're just making sequels to everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Everybody's running out of ideas.
Yeah, I mean they're making Spaceballs too. So.
Know what? You let if Mel Brooks wants to make Spaceballs 2 at 100 years old, God bless him. You let Mel Brooks make Spaceballs.
But do we know that he wanted to, or was he talked into it?
This isn't Frankie Valli. This is Mel Brooks.
Did he have an auto pen?
I don't understand the reference.
Oh, so Dave.
That was Joe Biden, you know.
Yeah,
pen.
I don't. You're lucky I don't have my cowbell, or else it would be. But Frankie Valli, to those of you who don't know, it is reported that he's like 92, 93 at this point, and he's still touring, and he's clearly lip syncing. And if he wants to do this and he wants to be on stage and tour at 93, it's fine. But you know what? We don't even need the audio to see what I'm about to show all of y'all. This is possibly, and even I would dare say probably, elder abuse. This is like horrifying.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
I bought my mom and dad tickets to see Frankie Valli a few years ago, and yeah, he's like up there looking like a zombie. And my mom didn't really think anything of it because she loves him. But, you know, what I'm going to tell her that, like, he's lip syncing for the whole show? Like, I don't know. I feel like I would have broke her little heart.
It's I'm trying to see if I can find the footage. It's really sad.
Well, one of my I was gonna say, I have a friend, and Maris is like a cousin. We've always called each other cousins. Her son Justin Albinder has been in Jersey Boys. He has played the Frankie Valli part on the touring. On the touring, he's played many times. So he can do that whole pitch with the Frankie Valli sound and everything like that. He's taken many voice lessons to be able to do that, and he's been in.
You better ask your mama.
But yeah, so it was kind of cool seeing, you know, your friend's son, you know, at the Schubert Theater, and you know, and that he was on the major touring show. He was the backup Frankie Valli, so he would do it like once a week, twice a week. He played the Joe Pesci part usually as one of the ensemble too. But yeah, Justin, he did great with that. I saw him 2 or 3 times. I saw him in Waterbury at the Palace, and then I saw him at the Schubert New Haven doing that. Kind of cool. Are you still trying to do something there?
Yes.
Corey?
Yeah, I get what he was leading up to. Also, the lighting on his face keeps changing.
At long last, love has arrived, and
Wow, he looks horrific.
Ugh.
you're just
But like this is it's horrifying.
You gotta hang it up. That's all.
Well, I mean, he probably still owes the mob money.
Probably does.
Like, look at this. This man doesn't want to be there.
Oh no. No,
I don't think he is
92.
actually there. He looks a lot like Joe Biden's presidency.
Oh my God! Where?
Did you know Frankie Valli was in The Sopranos?
No.
He was?
He
I'm
was.
sure he had a guest.
He played what the hell was it? He played one of the guys from the New York mob.
Yeah, I remember who he was. One of the backup guys for.
Rusty Millo. Yeah. He was
Yes,
one of-
yes. I actually saw him in it. I was at. It's funny. I started getting Soprano reels recently.
same.
Coming on. And
I've been taking a nice little break after watching 7 seasons of it, showing Shannon it.
I love The Sopranos.
Oh, it's still the greatest TV show of all time. I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks.
You know, HBO had first they had Oz,
Oh,
and
that's great.
Oz is the scariest show I've ever watched.
Well, wasn't The Wire first, really?
No.
What-
Oz came
I don't
first.
care about the
Oz came first? Okay.
Oz put a whole different level of I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to go anyway, and I don't want to do anything like that. But when you watch Oz,
Oz was
that is just the most horrific.
So-
And then, but all those guys from that show all ended up on The Sopranos.
Or SVU.
Almost all of them did, and then eventually SVU. Yeah, exactly. So you go from the Oz, Sopranos, SVU.
Yeah,
That was pretty much that.
I mean,
that
J.K.
grouping.
Simmons as was it Schillinger, whatever the hell?
Yes.
Oh, amazing in that. He was so scary.
Yeah, but how about what's his name from SVU?
Oh,
He
Also, Chris Mulaney.
Chris
Yes.
Mulaney was really horrible on Oz.
he was horrifying in that.
He was the gay Nazi guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he was horrible. My God, what he did. Oh, yeah, Chris Mulaney. You know what? I watch SVU and I still think like this horrible person. Like, I can't root for you, dude. I saw what you did on Oz. That's no one can act that mean.
No,
You must really be like that. He's such a good actor on that.
no, yeah.
But even Edie Falco, she was
Yeah.
the guard, you know. But yeah, no, Oz, and then you have The Sopranos, and I even like the dopey the podcast with
Today,
AJ,
pal.
AJ and
Meadow.
Meadow. That's a great podcast.
Yeah, not today, pal.
What does that have to do with
That's the
anything?
theme song. You clearly don't watch the podcast. That's the theme song.
I watch the podcast. I watch the reels. I don't really watch the podcast. I watch the reels every single day. It's like
Which
when
is
I watch.
how each one starts and ends.
No, it doesn't. I watch the reels every day. I never heard the song. I watch Travis Kelce's and him and his brother. I watch their podcast on the reels.
Goofballs.
They're funny though. They really are.
They're adorable.
Yeah, no, they're just fun. I don't care. I didn't want to like them, and I do.
How do you not? Like, it's by the way, one other person we mentioned, because there were two mentioned with Mr. Parker there. The other person who is getting inducted later this year into a Hall of Fame, but just missed out on his induction. That'd be Mr. Mick Ralphs of Mata Hoople and Bad Company. Bad Company, after years of people finally, as much as I was always on the Warren Zevon thing, one of the other groups I was always really upset that never was in the Hall of Fame was Bad Company. We're talking about a steady stream of classic rock radio hits. These are things that another one of those bands, every 5 or 6 songs, Sirius XM classic vinyl, it's it's a Badco song. And he was the epitome of what a classic rock lead guitarist was. He was that kind of guitar hero that everyone else wanted to be with. And yet again, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame waited just too late to acknowledge someone while someone was alive. And now, you know, his children and his wife, they'll have to go up there and accept for him when it really should have been him there. So
I have a question.
yeah.
And I think you answered already. Harry Chapin's not in either, is he?
Not only is he not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he's not even in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Wow.
That's
So-
atrocious.
I got to tell you, and I'm going to say this is a privilege. I got to yesterday. For those people who don't know, and this has been something really cool. Corey and the band are going to be doing the Harry Chapin concert at the Harry Chapin Theater in East Meadow, Long Island. And it's going to be a gigantic affair. And I have had more friends from high school, people generally family members, sending me, "Oh my God, I just saw that Corey's going to be playing it at the Harry Chapin thing." And it's all over. It's on the news. This is a really big deal. And yesterday they had a practice, and you know, everybody's been learning this because Harry Chapin songs are very detailed and long, very long. And yesterday, Dom came up. Dom's the drummer, Dom the professional, and Danny Ryler, one of the great musicians, phenomenal musician, and just makes everything look easy. He's like the Joe DiMaggio of music. He just makes it look smooth and easy. And then we had Isabel. Isabel is what a great find. So she's our cello player, because for those of you who don't know the Harry Chapin music, and I implore you, if you're going to see the show, go listen to some Harry Chapin music, listen to the lyrics, listen to what an unbelievable just lyricist, musician, everything that this man
His
did.
songs, his lyrics can make you laugh and cry within one line. He was one of those guys. He was so funny, but so deep and dark too. Like all the things I love about Warren Zevon on the totally like other end of things, on the kind of sweet and nice side of it. You know, where Warren was cynical, Harry was kind of funny. These songs, the lyricism that he put in there, and these were stories that were set to music. It was so good. So
and Isabel is such a professional, and she owns Westfield Music School Conservatory. You always kind of wonder, how come you don't ever hear Harry Chapin stuff? And probably one is because it's such detailed and hard music to know. You could do one song, two songs, but to do 16 or 17 songs, very hard. There are no charts written for any of the music, at least not for the cello or the drums. There's nothing you can find. Isabel has charted every one of these songs. She has put the time and effort into this. What an amazing professional, amazing person. And she's been so willing to come to practice and work with Corey on this. I am so upset that I will not be at the concert because Lisa and I will be in Alaska. But I had the privilege yesterday, and I don't know if they realized that Lisa and I were listening when they were going through the practice on some of the Chapin songs, and how magnificent, and just again, I am so upset that I won't be there, but I am going to pay someone to film the whole thing. Harry Chapin was just on another level.
He was a good human.
Well, and I think I've told the story. My dad had met with him a week or two beforehand and had donated money from his corporation. They had raised a whole bunch of money, and he had met with them just a few weeks before Harry came to his horribly demise.
Untimely death.
Yeah. But when you think about why there aren't tribute bands to Harry Chapin, it's because the music's too hard. It's not easy. Corey, the lyrics on that.
Yeah, where maybe sometimes the music's a little, smooth, easy, and chill. The getting it down to the performance that it needs to be to perform these, it's like performing the Odyssey. Or it's the closest thing that rock and roll's ever had to Greek theater. This is Odyssey. This is the Oedipus Rex. This is rock and roll's classics. These are he was able to dive into an ethos that every human being can get behind, that dives into maybe not our psyche, but our personalities and our experiences. And he made life sound fun.
And by the way, some of the other people that are going to be in the band on the 18th, I saw Cody was actually watching. Cody is taking a lot of time. He's really worked on the bass part and the vocals on it. And then we have Brother Dave. So if you want to see a great band, you have Cody Bondra, you have Isabel, Brother Dave, Danny Ryler, and you have Corey. I mean, this is a tremendous band. Like I'm going to tell people, July 18th, Eisenhower Park. One of my cousin called Corey. He found out the other day in the middle of the car. It's like he started telling him about the stories,
the details of how this is. It's a big event. It's going to be big. He was very excited to see that I was going to be there.
Yeah, I know. And
by the way, real quick, Steff's signal was not working well. I want to give her just a real quick plug. Steff Rennie Media. Make sure you hit her up for all of your social media and branding needs, whether you're a band, a performer, restaurant, establishment, or someone who just wants to be seen.
And I'll say something for Steff as well, on the business side of things for the Steff Rennie Media. She came with us to the Javits Center that day. It was for her clients. She wasn't there for herself. She was there to learn everything she can on social media, how to get more views, how to get more interest, and she spends so much time every day for every one of her clients. It's a privilege to work with Steff. She does such a great job. And she really takes the time for your events, and she studies, she looks at your website, she knows where you're going to be at. I can't tell you how many times she'll be like, Craig, can you please get Corey to post this, and that? Can you get me the information? I love Corey, but he doesn't respond to me. Can you get him to do this? And she's just,
which is making me say it might be time for me to get a new phone.
Good segue. But no, Steff, and Saturday, if there's any way that I can get to Long Island to go to the bandstand, I will try my best. Go see the Stapleton band. They're doing a great job.
Simply Stapleton.
And for those of you who are not Long Island people, don't know Jones Beach, there's a big giant bandstand between Field 4 and Field 5, right on the boardwalk. It's a really cool place, and for those of you who have never been to Jones Beach, it's an experience. It's one of the greatest beaches in the world, and it's right here on Long Island. I mean, the boardwalk, and that it's never really been touched. There's so many places that if it had that kind of area, like the Jersey Shore, they put all the motels and the amusements and everything like that. Jones Beach never had that. It's been the same for 150 years. They have the big giant pool bathhouses and the old style buildings and the big pencil in the middle there, and the beach is just long, and it's all sand. It's not the rocky North Shore horrible beaches. For those of you on the North Shore, South Shore much better on the beach side. For those of you on Long Island, but yeah, go see Steff.
Robert Moses did some terrible things, but Jones Beach was not one of them.
I mean, how great is it to grow up in Wantagh? For all my
I
Wantagh
can't tell
friends,
you personally, but
look, as a kid, we had Wantagh Park and Jones Beach in our town. So one of the best parks, one of the best beaches. And right next to that, we had Seaman Cedar Creek, Newbridge Park. We had the ice skating rinks. I mean, it's just the best place in the world to grow up. And it's one of the best school systems, great sports, blue ribbon school, Balfour account now, most importantly. And actually it was a Balfour account when I was a kid. That other horrible company got in there for a little bit. But no, Wanta's pretty cool. But Dave, what do you got going on this week?
Calendar's light at the moment, but in July I have Saltwater Grill in Stafford Springs, Connecticut, Saturday, July 12th. Friday, the night you were just talking about, the 18th, I'll be in Il Palazzo in Wanacue, New Jersey. Thank you, Corey. Lebanon County Fair on July 26th, Saturday. So I think I've got like horses opening for me. I don't know how that's gonna work, but it'll be interesting.
Okay.
It's cool you were able to score Sarah Jessica Parker as your opener.
Oh no. What? That's impolite.
And just like that.
That's a terrible show, by the way.
Oh my god, it's so unwatchable.
Oh.
First of all, you watch Sex and the City, which by the way, guilty show for me that I like to watch.
That was always when I was a kid, when I was homesick, that was what I watched on TBS. I watched the cut version, the TBS edited version, because it was on.
It was a bummer you grew up after cartoons were on TV.
So I will admit,
I thought the Roadrunner was the
I
best,
do like Sex
personally.
and the City. It's a great show, but I prefer Entourage. Anyway, but then you compare Sex and the City and Just Like That. The writing is terrible, and the acting is terrible. And then they portray these women like if they're part of the elderly now.
Right? Who the hell wants to see them? They're not pretty anymore. I'm sorry.
Well, the irony is they're about the same age as the characters in the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you have any fantasies about the Golden Girls? I'm sorry.
But at least the Golden Girls
did you dream about Betty White at night? I'm sorry.
Well written and well acted.
Oh.
Yeah. When Sarah Jessica Parker looks like B. Arthur at this point, it's really not a good thing.
So it's pity sex in the city?
I will say, here's
even Big couldn't take it. He had to die on
the Peloton. I feel bad for Peloton. The Peloton stock went down.
Oh,
is that a spoiler alert at this point? It's been 3 seasons.
No, it's been years.
Once Kim Cattrall did not come back, that was the end of the show, basically.
There was the edge.
Kim Cattrall. She knew. She's like, why would I spoil this?
So then they tried to replace her with 2 characters, and they did absolutely nothing.
Oh, and that one character.
Che Diaz, no, they are the worst. They are the worst character. They're the worst. They're the worst. They are the worst. They are the worst. They are the worst.
The only person I like on the whole show is Harry. Harry is still
actually
cool.
The 2 of them. I love both of them. I do love both of them. And if I had to hang out with any of them, it would be the 2 of them.
Who? Harry and
Harry.
And
his wife. Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte?
Yeah. I love Charlotte. Oh,
cool.
Charlotte's nice.
The other ones, I would never be able to. Charlotte, I would.
I hated what they did to Miranda's character. Like in Sex and the City, she was this like strong, independent woman who didn't give a fuck, and then they made her this pathetic.
She's so weak.
Pathetic lesbian now, all of a sudden. So,
all right,
and again,
Miranda,
I have no issue.
I despise her as a human in real life.
What she did to Steve deserved better. Steve always deserved better.
Steve was my favorite character.
I love Steve.
He was the man.
Dave's like, you guys are such.
What podcast did this become in the last 10 minutes? Did I switch to a different one? I thought we were talking about like baseball and Brian Wilson. Where am I right now?
We're talking about Sex and the City now. Is it wrong?
Dave's gonna start streaming. No, he won't. Not in a million years. Listen, my wife had it on the other night. Even I was like, Lisa, can we please not watch this? This is awful. Stop.
What is next week's show going to be? About Sex?
By the
in the
way,
City?
and we're gonna kill this conversation. I don't like Sarah just because what she did to Aiden. She dumped Aiden not once, not twice,
Yes.
like 3 times. Fuck her.
The best man she was ever with.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, no.
What's his face? The artist, the Russian guy who was played by the dancer.
Oh,
Asshole.
Barishnikov.
Yeah, his character, asshole. Big asshole. You know, all of them assholes except for Aiden, the only one that ever really loved her.
And he made good furniture, custom furniture. Damn
Bullshit. Don't say I don't have a soft side.
Tonight's show is brought to you by testosterone injections.
Apparently, we all need.
And just like that, move on. Move on.
What are we plugging, James?
Hopefully, no more all-nighters. That's all I can say after that. Here's that on Friday. The last 2 episodes of that show that's down there. The other, I talked about the revolving doors of friendships because I was talking about how I was making the wedding guest list and who I want to be at this wedding, and then I had realized I had to make some cuts because some people were not very nice to me in college. So I talk about that. I talk about that in the episode.
Bitch.
And then the episode before that, we ranted on the difference between like old country music compared to like the newer style, like around there. That's all I got for you.
You know, doing the whenever you have one of these parties, whether it's a wedding, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, sweet 16, and you're trying to plan the tables. And then you realize, oh my God, I can't put him next to him because they hate each other, and she's this, and they used to date.
She slept with him. She slept with her.
What happens if they tell what happened?
Wedding, it's like I'm not looking forward to that. Also, the guest list is not even finalized yet.
Miranda, no, you can't bring Che Diaz as your +1.
Oh my God, the +1s, by the way, is a little.
Well, that's also difficult because you have somebody who all of a sudden just started dating, but you already sent out the invitation 3 months before, and then that person calls you and says, "Hey, would you mind?" And they put you in the really awkward spot because you don't want to say no, but you're like, "There's no way I'm letting you take this person." And then you're waiting for someone else to drop out so that you can put that person there. And then you got to rearrange your goddamn table.
To quote John Mulaney, "Can I bring my girlfriend?"
What is it? Like in October, I got invited to a wedding and like no +1. I'm like, okay, sure, that's no problem at all. It's kind of weird, but probably they had to do restrictions on number of guests at this wedding. So.
Look, you know, especially when you're the grooms, when you're there on the groom side, you know, the groom side,
Rodney Dangerfield, absolutely no respect.
Right. I mean, the daughter side, you know, you could pay for whoever you want. So all your friends come and all your daughter's friends come. Well, screw that. You don't even invite your daughter's friends. You invite your friends. It's all about, if I'm paying, it's I have a say.
This is Cheryl. I've played bridge with her for the last 20 years. You remember when you met her when you were 6? We play Mahjong together.
Like I said, my nephew's wedding I that we went to last August was great because it was a destination. And when you go to a destination, no one asks for a +1. And if they
only
do,
it's only the young people.
You know, because
I won't lie, we thought about destination wedding because all you had to do is invite 20 people. So I'm like, well, that's not terrible.
Yeah, no, the destination, you know, I always thought it was like the most selfish thing in the world to do a destination wedding. I'm like, man, what a jerk. Like, oh, yeah, you make all your friends go.
No, but the thing is like, as of right now, we have about maybe 95 people on our guest list. We can automatically cut like 75 people because you'll be like, I'm not hopping on a plane to go somewhere.
That's the thing on that. But yeah, no, I had a really good time in the destination. It wasn't as many people. It was just the people that I really, if I were my nephew, I would have cared about that they were actually there. And it was intimate. It was nice. And my other nephew had a great wedding. It was, black tie, country club. But it was so big, and I didn't even know anybody, and I didn't really get to meet, nor did I want to meet anybody. I was in a black tuxedo suit. Ugh. Where the other one.
It was at that moment I realized, no, despite being born to Long Islanders, I am a New Englander. I went to that.
Exactly. When you go to the black tie affair in Long Island or New York, you realize.
Oh, gee, you just made me say the thing that I just did, and you come out here saying in Long Island. On Long Island. The only people living in Long Island are in the cemetery.
You're a moron. All right, whatever.
And you're wrong.
All right, I'm never.
I'm strange,
I'm the
but I
Messiah.
ain't
You said
strangeness already.
Anyway, Corey, it's 9:31.
So in per usual, my album of the week. I'm gonna do 2 albums though for this one because it's a very special week this week. Tomorrow is the Independence Day or the celebration of our neighbors to the north. It is Canada Day tomorrow, and then the
People
4th of
try to give a 3%.
Oh my God!
I thought he meant Simsbury.
So it's Canada Day tomorrow. The 2nd of July was when the Declaration of Independence was actually voted on. 4th of July is bullshit, but we'll go with it. So, what are my 2 albums of the week? I present to you America's Band, the Beach Boys, and their all-time classic, Pet Sounds. If you haven't already heard Pet Sounds, where have you been the last 60 years? And then also, Fully Completely by the Tragically Hip, Canada's Band. If you have not heard the Tragically Hip and you want to hear Canada's greatest export besides Lumber and Neil Young, this is the band that all Canadians consider their own. And this is probably their magnum opus of an album, if you ask me. A phenomenal track listing. I highly, highly, highly recommend both of these to everybody in our Dilem-Monday family.
So July 4th weekend, Corey will be at the Westerly Yacht Club. So that should be kind of cool. Cody will be playing with us. You have the Core 4 plus Cody. So it should be a really good show. And then the week after that, I'm going on the same cruise that James went on. I will be in Alaska.
You're going up the country, baby.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Wait, in which you're going to have to travel through Canada.
Yeah, technically,
yeah.
So.
I will. By the way, that's actually, before we go, I think it was like a week ago, I'm looking at Facebook and I see that there is a cruise ship in Juneau that somehow with a large wind got pushed off the pier and was a runaway cruise ship because this 148,000 ton cruise ship somehow with the wind got untied and started sailing away.
Watch me
Do
never
you know what ship, of course, it was? The Celebrity Edge, the one that I'm going on, made national news. Go look it up on Google it. The Celebrity Edge. Luckily, now I feel a little bit more comfortable. The captain was able to wrestle it, take care of it, make sure it didn't get into an accident, and the 148,000 ton Celebrity Edge is still good. But
I'm picturing him wrestling that ship. It's
like stay
wrestling. They're wrestling.
You could have been on that poop cruise on
Netflix. Oh yes, all of that is Canada Journée Anniversaire. Happy birthday, Canada. Happy birthday, America.
More really, happy birthday, America. I don't care about Canada.
We're
the
this
51st
is,
state. Like I care about that.
we are here. We are here to make content.
I'm having just too much fun with this.
Maybe I'll watch Independence Day again because I feel like I always watch that around that time.
I watch
I will
every
be watching
1776.
I love that movie.
That is my favorite musical.
Uh-oh.
1770
is my favorite musical.
William Daniels, by the way, still alive, still married to his wife of 78 years, I think, at this point.
They're both in their late 90s, almost 100. And
Mr. Adams, damn you, Mr. Adams. You're obnoxious and disliked. That cannot be denied.
You know, I love that show, and it was I think second or third movie I ever saw. It was at Radio City Music Hall, the Christmas show with the Rockettes and the animals
Shadow
coming out. You know, the whole thing. It was pretty cool, and the giant organs. You know, the two organs that would come out in the Radio City show. So
the White Shadow.
Yeah, no,
Fergie's mom was in the movie.
Fergie's mom she was Jefferson's wife.
His wife, yes, she played Martha Jefferson. He plays the violin. Yes, that's Fergie's mom.
This is true. So go watch 1776, one of the greatest. We actually saw a very off-Broadway
at the Goodspeed Opera House.
Yep, the 1776 at the Goodspeed Opera House. It was pretty
so good.
Cool.
It was actually a phenomenal performance.
Corey, how did you miss an opportunity not to refer to Fergie's mom as Stacy's mom?
Oh, or he didn't make it. Hey, on the West Wing episode.
There's a few very good Independence Day episodes of.
All right. Well,
the West Wing.
Yes.
With that in mind, everybody, please enjoy every sandwich. We will catch you next week talking about whatever it is that we're talking about. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be Sex in the City. I don't know. It'll be something, though.
No, absolutely not.
Dun, dun, dun,
I can talk about On the Rod. I can
dun,
talk about
dun,
for an hour and a half if you want me to.
What we should do, actually, have we done a show about HBO?
I don't think so.
Have we done a show about HBO?
No.
I mean, like HBO series?
And series, HBO in general?
Do we get to had HBO Max in there?
Absolutely, it's part of the HBO
Cinemax kind of stuff too.
Part of the HBO family, the HBO story. Y'all want to talk about HBO next week?
Sure.
The home box office.
There you go. All right, goodbye.
Yes, enjoy every sandwich, everybody. We'll catch you next week talking about HBO. Good night, good night, good night.